Hello everyone, welcome to your next section. In this one, we're going to spend time talking about how to navigate a directory. This is really important because oftentimes when you're doing a lot more advanced or intermediate code, things that you are accessing or writing into memory or grabbing information from or moving around are not going to be in the same place that your Python code is currently being stored. So it's really important to understand both where you are while you are running Python, but also where you need to be later on or what you need to do to get that piece of information. So having an understanding of how directories work is really important. This doesn't matter if you know anything about if you're on a Windows, Mac, or like a Linux machine. The basic premise is the same. It's just the syntax of like how we label directories is a little bit different, and like the names of the commands that we use. So all of this is applicable for all three different types of general operating systems. It's just more a matter of like basic concepts. So what you're going to learn today is the concept of directories. We're going to introduce some terminology to you. It'll get you thinking about how directories work as a tree. I'm going to teach you how to navigate directories in Python, how to create a directory, how to rename a directory, so you can then put files into it using Python only without having to be in terminal, bash, or anything like that. And we're going to do most of this using the OS library. So you're going to learn a bit about the operating system library in the process of this. So there are 4 definitions that I want you guys to learn. First, what is a directory in the first place? A directory is like the location where you are in the computer at a given point. We think about like when you're in Finder on your Mac, or you're like going through folders on Windows, or whatever operating system you're in, whatever folder you're currently looking through is your current directory. But all of those folders in and of themselves are different directories. And the terminology that I'm introducing to you of current, child, and parent directories are really just referencing what directories are where directories are in relation to where you currently are. So with current directory, it's where we are by default. When we write a piece of Python code, when we run that Python code, that's our current directory. When you log into terminal, your home directory is your current directory. That's that tilde symbol I've shown you before. If there are directories that are below your current directory, like so you, let's say, are in desktop and you have some sort of subfolder for a skiing trip, photos for a skiing trip. The child directory in your desktop would be that folder that is photos for your skiing trip. The parent directory is a directory that exists above where you currently are. So let's say you're in desktop or your downloads folder, but you have folder structures that are separated by users. So you would have your desktop, but it's desktop for user 1 and desktop for user 2, right? So the parent directory in that case would be the user directories. Those are the definitions, guys. I'm going to spend a little bit of time drawing this out so you can see what I mean, and then we're going to go into some Python code and show you how to navigate all of this. So first off, there's not much here in terms of syntax. I only want to show you this basic syntax here, and that we've created a string variable that's going to be used in our coding section. So I just called this path. What I've done here is this is the symbol in Mac for your home directory. This is like your default directory when you log into your system. This can be set as anything, but usually you have a short form, and it's like a reference point for a lot of people. With Mac computers, the syntax for how to go down directories is using this front slash. It's slightly different in Windows, but it follows the same basic statements or some ideas. So first off, each of these desktop and Udemy test fold are children of our home directory here, tilde. So and Udemy test fold is a child of our desktop. So first, let's just draw this out. So our first folder is our tilde. Our next folder is desktop. And then we have this Udemy one here, all right? Not bad. So if this was our current working directory and we are in tilde, the child directory would be desktop. And maybe there is some other directory above us. There is. I'm just kind of like hinting. We don't know what the parent directory is with this example, but there could be a parent directory above our tilde. If we're in desktop, our parent directory is going to be our tilde here, which is our home directory, and a child directory exists in Udemy test folder. I haven't written the whole thing out. So that is what we mean when we say a parent directory, a current working directory, which would be like our desktop, and then a child directory, which would be Udemy. And it's the tree structure that exists for most for operating systems. How you label this stuff, like for instance, for Windows machines, you use like / and then you have some statement and / and so on and so forth. Okay, so but otherwise, it's basically the same thing. So with that, let's move into some code and see how this all works and see if we can get Python to do some neat, interesting things for us. Okay, so here we are, guys. The first thing I want to show you is we have our operating system package loaded up. So import OS. The next thing we do is I'm going to show you this function here, which is part of the OS package, and it's called getCWD, which means current working directory, our current directory. So when we print this, it's going to tell us where we currently are in our folder. So this here is where our tilde would be, and that's just telling us where we are currently in this folder directory. We can also print this here, which is going to list all the files that are in Udemy Python scripts. And let's see here. So this gives us a list with all of these different file names. It'll also give us folders if they exist as well. But I don't believe there are any other folders in here at the moment. No. But this will list everything that is in our current working directory. So let's now like change this pathing a little bit. Let's have this still our tilde here, and I'll show you how this works. Remember our folder for this is Python Udemy scripts. Here we go. And let's just see what happens when we do this command here. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to change directory. Actually, we're not going to make a directory first. We're going to change our directory. We're going to move from Python Udemy scripts up to desktop here. Okay, and we'll see if this works. Let's then print our current working directory and see if they've changed between this command. So I'm just going to print this out here. So there we go. Print that. So the first thing we're going to do is print where we currently are. We create a new path, and we're going to change directory to this other path, and then print if we're in a different space. And we have a slight error. Oh, okay, that's what happened. It doesn't recognize that tilde is working right now, so I'm going to just do this here and give it the exact direct path right there. So you'll also notice we had a file not found error, meaning that it couldn't find where to go in this directory. That's a way to hint at you that, okay, maybe you screwed up how you formatted your pathing, and that works just fine now. And it's telling us that we are in fact in our desktop folder. Okay, so let's say we wanted to make a folder, make a directory. Okay, we can use our path still here, and we want to make a new directory in our desktop. So we could say, okay, our directory, let's make one, and let's call it a tester for test directory. And let's see what happens. Once we've changed directories here, what we can even do is we can list these directories to see if it currently exists or not. So I'm going to do this twice, so you're going to see what directory we start in, what directory we move into, the files that are there, we then make a directory, and then we list all the files that are there again, and we should see a new file in this second list. Okay, so it actually changed it. So in Jupyter Notebooks, it'll change. It keeps us in that current working directory. So we don't need this for now, but we could argue that we could move this somewhere around. But regardless, it doesn't totally matter from now. So we change it to here. We then print our current directory, which is here. We have our list of all the files, and we do have a new print list after we've done our make directory. And look, test directory is there. So if we wanted to maybe rename this, one last function I'm going to show you with operating with the OS is to rename a folder. So let's just copy and paste this because this is the exact thing we need. In order to get this to work, what we need to do is give it the old directory, the old pointer, what it was, and then what we want it to be. So what we're going to do, we're going to change this around because I've changed how we've labeled this. So now we have path, and rather than test directory, we can go test directory like this. Because that's what we want to change it to instead. And then let's just list directories one more time. We can even remove these because we know that they exist. Okay, what do we have here? File exists, tester. Okay, let's figure this out. All right, guys. Right, everyone, I found out what happened. The problem is that when we try and rename this right now, it wasn't working because this directory already exists. And if I try and run this over and over again, we haven't removed the directory. So it's saying that, like, okay, you can't make that directory because it already exists. So what we need to do is just comment that out. Oops. And then we can look at this .rename, and this will work just fine now. So we have our old directory, our new directory, and then I'll print the list. And there we have it, guys. We'll see that this path has now been renamed. So with that, let us now sign off on this one by doing a recap and talking about what you figured out today. So what did we learn? We learned the concept of a directory tree. We have parent and child directories and how we can move and navigate up and down file paths. We learned how to navigate directories as well as create directories and rename them, mostly through this OS package. So we did all of this through Python, even though we were kind of manipulating our bash or command prompt in the background. So that can be very useful when dealing with, complex code that has a whole bunch of different subdirectories where data is in one folder or in another folder, and you might want to move around or create information or something to that effect. So thank you very much, guys, and we'll see you next class.